Okay, so day two, we're solving systems of equations by graphing. Okay? Your first definition says linear systems. A linear system is a set of two linear equations. The way that we know that something is linear is if it is in y equals form, and if we have 1x. So the solution to a linear system is the point where the lines cross. Wherever your two lines cross, that's our solution. When we say cross, we also mean intersect. All right, so method one. Yes, sorry. Okay, so method one is solving systems by graphing. What we are going to do is that we are going to solve for y. If it's already in y equals, then our job is done. But that's what we're going to focus on. And then we're going to graph both equations and then identify the intersection point of the two lines. Look at number one. Negative x plus y is equal to negative 7.
Put 1x on both sides. Put 1x.
Hold on 1 second. Yeah, let's solve for y. What did you say, Joanna?
Put 1x both sides.
So we're going to add x to both sides. And now I have y equals x minus 7. You guys have a graph on yours? Oh, I see what I did. Yeah, hold on a second. I'm going to delete this slide. I don't need it. Yeah, if you guys see a calculator, go ahead and get it. All right, this is where I want to be. Okay, so we said we're going to add 7. Sorry, add x to each side, so my y's disappear, and I'm left with y equals x minus 7. Let's go ahead and graph that line. X minus 7, what is my y-intercept there? Negative 7. So let's go down to negative 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And my slope is 1. So I go up 1 over 1. And then we can draw my line. Okay, so that's the first line that we graphed. Okay. Right now we're doing it by hand, but in a little bit we'll do it by a calculator. All right, then I have x plus 7y equals negative 8. Let's solve for x. Solve for y. I'm going to subtract x on each side. So I'm left with 4y is equal to negative x minus 8. How do I solve for y here?
Divide by 4 both sides.
Divide by 4. You guys may have a lot more room than me. But we're left with y equals negative 1/4 x minus 2. So what I just did was I just kind of split these up into two different pieces. Okay? Negative x divided by 4 is just basically negative 1/4 x. And then negative 8 divided by 4 gives me negative 2. So based on what we did last class, what is my y-intercept?
-2.
-2. And my slope tells me to go down 1 over 4. So down 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4. Down 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to sketch this line here. Pretty good line. All right, they want us to say what's my solution, meaning where are both lines crossing? What point is that? What? Okay, do we all agree that I am crossing right there in my highlighted spots? That's my intersection. Okay, what's that point? Let's see. Let's go over 1, 2, 3, 4. So +4. Right here. And we go down how many? -3. So when you're doing this with all this work, make sure you're boxing around your solution so I can find it easier. Okay, number 2, we have y equals 5x. I don't have a y-intercept there, but I can imagine it's basically +0, right? There's nothing else back there. So that means my y-intercept is what?
Origin.
At the origin. And my slope tells me to go up how many?
5.
Up 5 over 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1. And I'm going to draw a line. Are you guys understanding where these numbers are coming from? Like our slope numbers. In this case, my slope was 5 because that's the number before x. My b, my y-intercept was 0. So that's where I started. That's where I began. All right, for my second equation, y equals 5x plus 10. What's my slope here?
5x, 5 over 1.
5 over 1, good. And my b is going to be 10. I'm not sure this will be on the grid. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh yeah, okay, it's 10 by 10. And they want me to go up 5 over 1. Well, clearly if I go up 5, I'm going to be way off the grid. So let's go backwards. I'm going to go over 1 and then down 5. Okay? So I'm going to go over 1, then down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, over 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means if we're going from the left to right, I did the same thing. I went up 5 over 1, up 5 over 1.
There's no crossing parallel.
There's no crossing. They're parallel. So do I have a solution? No, what's that word that we use when there's no solution? Oh, no solution. Sorry, that's not the sentence I wanted to say. But no solution. And I always abbreviate solution. You don't have to. You can write it out. Okay? Because they're parallel lines, we had no solution. All right, I want you guys to do 3 and 4. You can refer back to this if you'd like. But actually, let's at least get started. On number 3, I have one of my equations in y equals. Okay, the other one is not. How do I get that in y equals? Let's add x to both sides. I'm going to use my other pen. I don't have much space. Okay, so we added x. And I'm left with 2y is equal to x plus 3. Now what?
I can write 2 to both sides.
Got by 2 to both sides. So I'm left with y equals 1/2 x plus 3 over 2. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Hmm. What's 3 over 2 as a decimal? 1.5, okay. So we're not gonna be afraid of decimals.
Let's say y equals.
Y equals 1/2 x.
X equals 12.
I know, it's because of there's not much space. Look at the second equation. What is my n for the second equation? -2, and my b for the second equation is +4. Okay, so here's what I want you guys to do. If you're looking at your first equation up here, your m was 1/2, and your b is basically 1.5. Okay, they gave us a fraction 3 over 2, but we can still do this. 1.5 is going to be between 1 and 2. Guess I'll do this one with you guys since we're already here. All right, I'm going to go up 1 over 2. So up 1 over 2, up 1. And once we start at our 1/2, we just kind of have to finish it. So try to sketch this line as best as you can. It may not be perfect. That's okay. Mine is not perfect. My second line, my b was at +4. And my slope was -2, 1. So down 2 over 1. Down 2 over 1. Josue, what do you get for a solution here? What does it look like we're crossing? You guys?
2.5.
So because they gave us that half, it definitely throws us off. I have that we're crossing at 1, 2,
1.
like over 1, up 2. It is okay if you had 1.5, 2, because depending on how you drew your line, you may see it differently. Okay, I want you guys to do number 4. Solve for y, find out your slope and your y-intercept, and then graph it. 3 minutes. All right, let's go to the answer number 4. What I'm going to do is I am going to solve for y. Of -y equals -x plus 5, and divide by -1. So I'm left with y is equal to +1x minus 5. So my y-intercept is -5. And going up 1 over 1. Up 1 over 1. Did you guys get this line? Anybody out there? Okay. Look at the second line. And then solve for y. And have y equals -3x plus 3. My y-intercept is +3. And my slope is down 3 over 1. So we can already see our solution. That's where they cross. Your solution for this one should be +2, -3. You guys get that? Good. Did not get that, please make your corrections. Okay, we have one more piece of this, and then we're gonna take a little break. Determine whether or not the given point is a solution. Yeah. For which part?
Number 4.
Did you solve for y? I'll have to go back after we're done with this. Okay, so they're giving you two systems of equations, or I guess one set of systems of equations. We're going to check to see if they work. The trick here is that if it works for the first one, we have to check to see if it works for the second. But if it doesn't work for the first, there's no need to check for the second. So, let's look here. Number one, we have our x is 3, our y is 9. If I'm going to check to see if my solution works, I'm just plugging in. My y is 9, so I'm going to write 9 equals 2 times what? 3 plus 3. You can put this in your calculator if you want, or you can practice your mental math. What's 2 times 3? 6. 6 plus 3? All right, does 9 equal 9? Yep, that one works. That's what we're doing here. We're plugging it in and we're seeing if it works. So now we have to check the bottom one. My y was 9, then I have equals negative 3 times positive 3 is equal to 18. What's negative 3 times positive 3? Careful. So we have negative 9 plus 18. Does negative 9 plus 18 give me what? Positive 9. So that system works. Put a check mark. They both work. We plugged in our x and y's, and it matches. Let's check number 2. My x is negative 3, my y is negative 2. So I have negative 3 plus negative 2 equals 1. What's negative 3 plus negative 2? Does negative 5 equal equal positive 1?
No.
Put a big no there. It doesn't work. There's no need for me to even try the second equation. The first one didn't even work. So I know it's not going to be a system or a solution to the system. Does that make sense?
Good.
Okay, let's do the third one. Y equals negative 3x plus 1. I'm going to plug in my y is what? Y is 5. They gave me the point. It's 2, 5. My x is positive 2 and then plus 1. What's negative 3 times 2? And negative 6 plus 1? Positive or negative?
Negative 5.
Negative 5. So does positive 5 equal negative 5?
No.
No, this one also does not work. So I'm not even going to try the second one. It doesn't matter. All right, let's take a 5-minute break. When we come back, we're going to start our practice with the calculator. We're going to do this much faster. In our calculators, and I'm going to bring mine up too, we are going to solve for y, and then we're going to plug it in y equals, and then we're going to look to see where our graph has the solution, where to find that. Okay, so first we need to grab our pencils, and let's solve for y. This was the easy one.
Where is this?
I'm going to add 2x to both sides. And I'm left with y equals 2x minus 2. So that's going to be my first y. 2x minus 2. My second one is already in y equals, right? So it's going to be 2x minus 6. Okay, Josephine? Are you good? Okay. All right, let's go to our calculators. I have my graphic one up here. Huh? In the calculator? All right, hold on. Everyone hit y equals the very top. All right, my first y1 was what again? Positive 2x. X is right here beside alpha. So 2x, was it minus 2?
Yeah.
Okay. Then we're going to scroll down to my y2, and that was just 2x minus 6. Once you have that, hit graph. Let your calculator do the work.
Parallel lines.
Are they?
Yes.
Okay, they're parallel lines. So, no solution because parallel lines. We don't have to go any further. My solution is no solution. Or you can write 9, it's the same thing. All right, let's look at number 5. Let's go ahead and solve for y. All right, so first let's get rid of this 3x. So subtract 3x from both sides. I'm left with 2y equals negative 3x plus 2. What's my last step? Divide both sides by 2. So that means, I'm going to put my answer up here. Y equals negative 3 over 2x
Plus 1.
plus 1. Now, because we're using our calculators, if you want to leave it just like this as a fraction, you can do that. You just have to put the top part in parentheses. Okay? So if you don't want to even try to, divide each expression, you don't have to. For my second equation, I have negative 3x plus y equals negative 11. Add 3x. So I'm left with y equals 3x minus 11. So that goes here. And for my y, just gonna move this down. Oh, man. Oh, that kind of worked. Alright, so let's go to our calculators. We're going to type this in, go to y equals, clear everything out. My first one is negative 3 divided by 2, x plus 1. Notice how I put my fraction in parentheses. If I go down to my y2, I have 3x minus 11. Is anyone having trouble putting this into the calculator? All right, once you have that, let's hit graph. Okay, so we can try to eyeball this and try to see what the solution is, but we have to get used to actually finding the solution, okay? Everyone hit trace. Oh wait, second trace. I haven't done this since last week. Okay, second trace. If I want to find where they're crossing, which one of these do you think I need? Number 5, intersect. You can scroll down or just hit 5. You should have a little blinking bob guy. You guys see how it says first curve?
Yeah, you can.
Alright, that's your calculator trying to guess right now. I like to try to get my blinking bob guy right on top of my intersection, or at least close to it.
2.7 and negative 3.
We're going to hit enter. It says second curve, like the second line. We're going to hit yes. Look at that curve too. it says, should I guess? And you're like, yes, what's the answer? And it tells you your intersection is what? 2.666 repeating and -3. So, that's what we're going to write down. Oh wait, it wasn't, it was 2 point, right?
Yeah.
2.66 repeating and -3. That's my solution. Oop, get that. Something's just. Any questions on 4 or 5? All right, the last one we're going to do together is number 6. Let's solve for y. I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. And we're left with negative y is equal to negative 2x minus 5. How do I get y by itself here?
Divide.
Divide by negative 1. Good. So I am left with y equals negative 2 over negative 1 just becomes positive 2x. And then negative 5 over negative 1 becomes positive 5. But remember, if you don't want to simplify it, when you go to your y1 in your calculator, you can type in negative 2x minus 5 in parentheses divided by negative 1. You can write that if you want. You don't have to simplify it. And then my second equation is the same exact. I don't have to solve anything. It's already in y equals. So negative x minus 5. All right, I want you guys to go to your calculators. Type this in, look at your line, find your intersection. Okay, let's double check that. I'm going to go to my y equals, clear out everything. My y1 was 2x plus 5. My y2 was negative 1x minus 5.
This is the first one,
Let's graph it. Is that what your lines look like?
Yep.
And then we're going to hit second trace. I'm going to find the intersection. I'm going to move my blinking bob guide down as close as I can to the intersection. I'm going to hit enter 3 times. You should get negative 3.3 repeating and negative 1.6 repeating. Good. Let's go ahead and write that in. Okay, clear on how to find the solution.
Yes.
Okay, if you guys have homework 2, you can probably finish homework 2 while you're here, while you have your calculator. Homework 2 is literally just 1 page, 4 problems. We should have 100% homework across the class. You guys can knock that out now.